Just look at that cat lying lazily on the sofa. Eyes half closed, belly exposed, face looking as if it is saying, "I am doing absolutely nothing. Please do not bother me." But do not let that adorable appearance fool you. Inside that soft, silky, meowing little body is a hunting machine designed by nature with incredible precision. Its eyes can see in the dark like a night vision camera. Its ears can detect tiny sounds, almost as if it could hear a mouse sighing in the corner. Its feet move so silently that even the floor does not realize someone has just walked across it. And here is the most fascinating part. Cats were not domesticated in the same way humans domesticated many other animals. We did not simply catch them, train them, and turn them into pets. No, folks, cats never signed an employment contract with humans. They simply looked at the grain stores of our ancient ancestors, saw mice running around like an all-you-can-eat buffet, and probably thought, "This place looks decent. I might stay here for a few thousand years." From wildcats living in deserts, grasslands, and ancient farming villages, they slowly stepped into human homes. Not loudly like dogs, not faithfully running to greet their owners every afternoon, but with their own unique style, calm, confident, elegant, slightly arrogant, and always acting as if humans are their personal staff. Today, we are going back in time, from the wildcat of the ancient world to the domestic cat of modern homes. This is a journey that lasted thousands of years, in which a tiny predator conquered grain stores, ships, temples, palaces, kitchens, sofas, and finally, the internet itself. To understand the house cat we know today, we must first meet its ancestor, the African and Near Eastern wildcat. At first glance, it looks quite similar to the tabby cat in someone's backyard. Striped fur, a compact body, a sharp little face, and alert eyes. But do not be mistaken. This was not the kind of cat that sat around waiting for a human servant to open a can of pâté. The wildcat lived by instinct. It had no stainless steel food bowl, no soft bed, and absolutely no one scratching its chin while calling it, "my little baby." Every day was a survival test, finding prey, avoiding enemies, defending territory, raising kittens, and most importantly, not making a fatal mistake. The wildcat was not as large as a lion, not as powerful as a tiger, and not as fast as a cheetah, but it possessed something extremely dangerous: precision. When stalking prey, it could remain still like a stone with whiskers. When it attacked, every leap, every pounce, every claw, and every tooth worked together like a perfectly tuned system. It hunted mice, small birds, lizards, insects, and almost anything small enough to fit on the menu. In the natural world, being small does not mean being weak. Sometimes, being small is an advantage. It means easier hiding, lower energy use, greater flexibility, and a much better chance of moving unseen. And that exact set of skills made the wildcat the perfect candidate to enter the human world. Not because it was obedient, but because it was useful. Humans had grain. Grain attracted mice. Mice attracted cats. And so, history began with a very simple situation. There was food in the house. And an unexpected guest decided to show up. Long ago, when humans were still hunters and gatherers, moving from place to place, wildcats had no real reason to follow them. Humans were always on the move. Food was unpredictable. And to be honest, people were probably quite noisy. A wildcat looking at them might have thought, "This group seems troublesome, not worth investing in yet." But everything changed when humans began farming. They planted wheat and barley, stored grain in large quantities, built villages, and stayed in one place for much longer periods of time. And from that moment, a new problem appeared: mice. Mice do not need an invitation. Once they smell grain, the whole family shows up. They eat the seeds, damage the storage areas, reproduce quickly, and give humans endless headaches. And right at that moment, the wildcat entered the scene like an unpaid security guard who happened to be extremely good at the job. Cats do not eat grain. Cats eat mice. Humans did not need to train cats for this work. Cats already knew exactly what to do. They came because there was prey. Humans saw them catching mice and probably thought, "Well, this little fellow seems useful." let it hang around. And that may have been how the first relationship between humans and cats began. It was not love at first sight. It was not some ancient farmer picking up a kitten and saying, "From now on, you are my child." No, it was much more practical than that. Cats needed mice. And humans needed fewer mice. Both sides benefited. It was an agreement without paper, without signatures, but one that lasted for thousands of years. Here is something very interesting. Cats are different from dogs. Dogs were more actively domesticated by humans. They were selected to guard, hunt, pull sleds, herd livestock, and become close companions. But cats were more like, I arrived on my own. I leave when I want. And I decide my own working hours. Cats did not need humans to take them hunting. They did not need much training. They did not need to hear commands like, sit, or, shake hands. Just try asking a cat to shake hands. It will look at you as if you are the one who has not fully evolved. That is why many scientists believe cat domestication was very special. It was almost a form of self-domestication. The wildcats that were less afraid of humans, calmer, and more willing to live near villages had better access to food. Over many generations, these cats lived closer to humans, had kittens near humans, and slowly laid the foundation for the domestic cat. But even after entering our homes, cats kept many of their wild instincts. That is why a house cat can sleep on your pillow in the morning and, by the afternoon, stalk a house gecko like a secret agent on an international mission. The house cat is a lovable contradiction. Both pet and predator. Both adorable and arrogant. Both dependent on humans and constantly acting as if humans are the ones who need it more. If cats were the security guards of grain stores in farming villages, then in ancient Egypt, they received a serious promotion. From useful animals, cats gradually became symbols of protection, luck, grace, and even spiritual power. Ancient Egyptians lived along the Nile, where agriculture flourished, food storage was extremely important, and rodents were always around like unwanted guests. Cats helped protect grain, homes, and families from small pests and even snakes. But the longer cats lived near humans, the more people began to see them in a special way. The Egyptians saw that cats were soft, yet dangerous, gentle, yet impossible to fully command, small, yet brave enough to face threats around the home. To put it casually, cats at that time did not only catch mice, they also caught the hearts of the Egyptians. In Egyptian culture, cats became connected with goddesses, protection, and beauty. From this point on, cats were no longer just animals around the grain store. They entered paintings, statues, temples, and the spiritual life of human beings. And from North Africa, Egypt, and the trading routes of the Mediterranean, cats began to travel farther. From villages to cities, from land to ships, from local hunters to special passengers in the long journey of history. As humans began trading across longer distances and traveling more often by sea, cats also earned a place on ships. Of course, not in business class. Cats boarded ships for one very practical reason. Ships carried food. And wherever there was food, there were mice and rats. Rodents on ships were a serious problem. They gnawed ropes, damaged food supplies, contaminated cargo areas, and could drive sailors absolutely crazy. In that situation, cats appeared like security officers and quality control inspectors rolled into one. No salary, no uniform, no complaints. Just give them rodents, and they would work very hard. Ancient ships, Mediterranean trade routes, traveling merchants, armies, and migrating people all unintentionally helped cats spread farther. From North Africa, cats followed humans to new lands. Once they arrived, they did what they had always done best: survive, adapt, and make humans accept their presence. Imagine a cat on a ship, sleeping in a corner during the day like the captain of the vessel, then patrolling the cargo hold at night and dealing with rodents like a special forces agent. The sailors probably looked at it and thought, this creature is a bit arrogant, but it gets the job done. And so, Cats did not only conquer homes, they conquered the seas. When humans built cities, cats found a new playground. Cities had houses, markets, warehouses, drains, kitchens, and of course, mice and rats. Wherever humans stored food, cats had a reason to appear. But city life was not easy. It was noisy, crowded, full of dogs, full of vehicles, and full of confusing humans. A cat living in the city had to be extremely flexible. It had to know how to hide, where to sleep, how to remember paths, when to ask for food, how to avoid trouble, and how to look pitiful at exactly the right moment. City cats are masters of adaptation. They can sleep on rooftops, walk along walls, slip through narrow alleys, and observe humans from a distance like tiny social scientists. They know which house has food, who usually gives them fish, who only chases them away, and who might become a potential servant. From a street cat to a house cat, the boundary is sometimes only a food bowl and one gentle touch. Some cats are born outdoors, grow up among traffic sounds and market smells, and then one day walk into someone's home and become part of the family. That is one of the greatest talents of cats. They adapt without losing their style. Whether in the desert, an ancient village, a ship, or an apartment building, a cat remains a cat, walking silently, watching deeply, living freely, and never forgetting that it was once a hunter. Now take another look at your own house cat. It may be lying under a blanket, eating premium imported food, and drinking from its own little water fountain. But deep inside its brain, an ancient survival program is still running quietly in the background. When it sees something moving quickly, its eyes widen. When it hears a rustling sound, its ears rotate like radar dishes. When it sees a shoelace, it does not see a shoelace. It sees prey that needs to be dealt with. That is the hunting instinct. Cats hunt with patience. They do not rush in loudly. They observe, lower their bodies, take silent steps, and wait for the perfect moment. A cat's pounce is short but precise. Its claws extend at just the right time. Its tail keeps balance. Its whiskers measure space. The whole body works like a machine optimized for stalking and catching prey. That is why cats love to play. For humans, it is entertainment. For cats, it is survival training. A little ball, a feathered toy, a string, a laser dot. All of these things activate the hunting instinct. In other words, when you play with your cat, you are not just keeping it entertained. You are giving a miniature killer a workout. Luckily, it only weighs a few kilograms. If house cats were the size of tigers, humanity would probably have called an emergency meeting a long time ago. Many people say cats are arrogant. You call them, and they do not come. You pet them, but only if they are in the mood. You buy them an expensive toy, and they ignore it completely, choosing instead to crawl into a free cardboard box. When you are sad and want to cuddle, they dodge you, but when you are busy working, they climb straight onto your keyboard like a director inspecting employee performance. But from an evolutionary point of view, this so-called arrogance makes sense. Cats are small predators, but they can also become prey for larger animals. That means they must be cautious. They do not trust easily. They do not expose weakness easily. And they do not like being controlled too much. A cat that survives well is a cat that knows when to keep its distance, watches before acting, chooses high places to see the whole area, and always keeps an escape route open. The behaviors we call cold or distant are often simply safety instincts. When a cat rubs its head against you, lies near you, or closes its eyes in front of you, that is a sign of trust. For a cat, trust is not a small thing. It does not hand it out for free like flyers at a street market. So if a cat chooses to lie beside you, do not think of it as nothing. In cat language, it is almost saying, "You are acceptable. You have not disappointed me yet. I will add you to my inner circle." After thousands of years of living beside humans, cats carried out a very unusual kind of conquest. They did not need armies. They did not need a roar like a lion. They did not need the speed of a cheetah. All they needed were shining eyes, a perfectly timed meow, and the ability to lie down in the most inconvenient place possible for humans. Today, cats exist almost everywhere in the world. From small city apartments to farms. From villages to remote islands. From bookstores to cat cafes. From phone screens to million-view videos on YouTube. Cats conquered the internet because they have a combination that is almost impossible to resist. They're cute, unpredictable, funny, mysterious, and sometimes behave as if they know something the rest of humanity has not figured out yet. A cat can knock a cup off the table, look at its owner as if gravity is to blame, and then calmly walk away. With content like that, even the algorithm has to surrender. But behind all that fame lies a deeper story. Cats succeeded because they learned how to live with humans without losing their true nature. They are close enough to be loved, yet distant enough to remain mysterious. Obedient enough to enter our homes, yet wild enough to never become boring. From grain store hunter to royal highness of the living room, cats have proven one thing. You do not need to be huge to dominate the world. Sometimes, all you need is to lie in the right place and judge everyone with the right look. But the story of cats is not only cute and charming. As cats followed humans around the world, they also became part of new ecological challenges. In some places, especially islands or regions with vulnerable native birds and small animals, feral cats can put pressure on local wildlife. This does not mean we should hate cats. Not at all. Cats are simply doing what their instincts tell them to do: hunt. The real issue is that humans have brought cats into many new environments where native species did not have enough time to adapt to such a flexible and skilled predator. That is why loving cats is not just about feeding them, petting them, and buying them toys. Loving cats also means being responsible, spaying and neutering when needed, not abandoning cats, keeping them in safe environments, limiting their impact on wildlife, and supporting humane rescue programs are all part of that responsibility. An indoor cat can live a healthy and happy life when cared for properly. It needs toys, climbing spaces, interaction, suitable food, and regular veterinary care. A cat does not have to go outside and hunt birds to be a real cat. It simply needs to express its natural needs in a safe way. So the story of cat domestication is also a story about human responsibility. We invited cats into our world. Now we must learn how to live with them in a way that is kind to both cats and nature. From a small wildcat stalking mice through dry grass, to a house cat stretching lazily across the sofa, the journey of cats is one of the strangest stories ever shared between humans and animals. Cats did not come to us through obedience. They came through opportunity, curiosity, adaptability, and a style that was entirely their own. They did not ask for permission to enter history. They simply walked quietly through the door of the grain store, and they have stayed with us until this day. Over thousands of years, cats have changed, but not too much, and that is what makes them so special. They learned to live inside human homes, but they kept the eyes of a hunter. They learned to accept food from human hands, but they kept their independence. They sleep on soft blankets now, but perhaps in their dreams, they still hear dry leaves rustling, mice running, and moonlight falling across ancient grasslands. And maybe that is why we love cats. Because cats never fully belong to us. They stay beside us, but there is always another world inside their eyes. A wild, mysterious, proud, and mesmerizing world. If you have a cat, take a moment to look at it tonight. The animal lying beside you is not just a pet. It is the descendant of a tiny line of hunters that passed through ancient farms, temples, ships, cities, and finally chose your chair as its throne. And if it is currently taking over your pillow, my condolences. The domestication process is complete. The cat has won.